folks, it's Teresa over here at Stringfield Ridge Farm. We are finally getting some of that rain. I know that some of them down south was getting a lot of rain from that tropical storm Gordon. And I kept saying, send some of that on up here, because we had just planted our fall garden and needed some of that rain. So we're finally getting some of that. We're getting a pretty good downpour right now, so I'm happy to see it. We needed it. We had our fall garden planted and we had watered a little bit, but was hoping for some good soaking rain. And now we're getting that, so that's good. I keep looking up at a, there is a praying mantis up, it's actually, I think, what they call a walking stick, and it's right up there above me. So I keep looking up at that. So what I want to talk to you about, though, is it's my Wednesday off, and so I'm calling it Wonderful Wednesday vlog. So I may start doing that some on my Wednesday off, and do my Saturday vlog and my Wonderful Wednesday vlog. I just wanted to show you what I got going on today. I'm doing a few things. I've also started a new diet. I've started a low-carb, moderate fat diet, and I'm trying to eat really low carb. I also purchased a book at the Homestead Life Conference called, the title of the book is Why America is Sick. And so I've been reading that, and I'm kind of incorporating that book, the information from that book, into a low carb diet. And so I've started that, and so if you start seeing me lose weight, that's why. I'm not going to bore you with a whole bunch of it, but I do want to show you a drink that I just learned about that is called Good Girl Moonshine. It's not an alcoholic beverage, but it's called Good Girl Moonshine, and it would be good for any diet, or even if you're not on a diet, because it has apple cider vinegar in it with the mother. And so it would be a good drink for anyone to help you. Apple cider vinegar is good for you, and also helps lose weight. So this drink would be good for any diet. Plus, if you're not on a diet, it would also be good for you. So I'm going to show you here in a little bit that Good Girl Moonshine, how to make that. I already picked the garden this morning before it rained, so I'm going to be doing some canning. Mainly, I'm going to show you this Good Girl Moonshine. It's a very refreshing drink for anybody. So, and guys too. So it could be called Good Guy Moonshine too. So, and I'll tell you a little quick story about Lee and some moonshine. This was a bad guy moonshine. Back years ago, Lee used to drink a lot, and he tried several times. He drank moonshine. And a lot of people around here, a lot of the drinkers around here, moonshine's a big deal. And he'd gotten to drinking some moonshine with a couple fellas that were making it. And so he drank moonshine one night, and he had walked to the neighbor's house and was drinking with them. And down the road, right down the road. And so come time I thought he ought to be home, I tried to call, and they said he'd already left. I tried to call and didn't get no answer from him, and then called there, and they said he'd already left. And at the time, my daughter and son-in-law was living beside us too, and there was an old trailer that was still on our property that needed to be tore down, but it was still on our property. It was an old mobile home. And so Lee had already left this neighbor's house to walking home. And so I kept calling him, couldn't get a hold of him. I was getting worried. And I kept calling. We started kind of looking for him. And he finally answered the phone. He finally did answer the phone. And I said, where are you at? And he said, I don't know. And I said, you don't know where you're at? I'm starting to get a little irritated, you know. You don't know where you're at? And he said, no. And I could tell he'd been drinking too much of that moonshine. And he said, I don't know, it's dark here. He said, it's dark here. And I kept questioning him, and we got to trying to figure out where he was at. And I said, we'll get off the phone and don't answer it. Let the phone ring, and we'll walk that way and see if we can figure out where you're at. I'm thinking he fell off in a ditch somewhere. And so he hung up, started calling him. My son-in-law got to walking around, and somehow he figured out where he was at. He was in that old mobile home, and he couldn't figure out, there was no lights, no electricity to it. But when I talked to him, I said, where are you at? And he said, I don't know. He said, it's dark in here. And he said, I think I'm in hell. So there you go. Don't drink moonshine. Don't drink bad moonshine, or you might go to hell. So I'm going to show you some good girl moonshine. So here is how you make the good girl moonshine. Get you a quart jar, lid. You want to take apple cider vinegar with the mother. Shake that up so your mother's all shook up. You will take 2 to 4 tablespoons of the apple cider vinegar with the mother. I started out with 2, but I actually like apple cider vinegar, so I went ahead and used 3. You can go up to 4 if you want it even stronger. 3 was good for me. So 2 to 4 of the apple cider vinegar with the mother. Now I like Bragg's, but this is not bad either, and it's raw, unfiltered, with the mother, unpasteurized, so it works. Then you take a sweetener. I have stevia in the raw. Now the thing with the powdered is it doesn't mix up real good in a cold drink like this for me. I still always see a little bit of crystal around, floating around. I use this in my coffee, but for this I like to use some liquid stevia. And this is pretty strong, so I just give it a little bitty squirt. You could use any sweetener that you like, though. Okay, a dash of cinnamon. I have a Saigon cinnamon. Dash of that, and a little ginger. I'm going to use 1/4 teaspoon of ginger. You could use a slice of ginger root. Fresh ginger root, that would be awesome. I don't have any right now, so I'm using the ground ginger. Okay, that's all you have in it besides the water. So you had the 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, the dash of cinnamon, the 1/4 teaspoon of ginger, or a slice of a ginger root would be fine. So, and a sweetener. All right, got that in your jar. Now I go ahead and put some ice in there. I don't reckon you have to do that, but I do to get it good and cold quick. Put a little ice in there. You could fill that up with ice. Then you will top that off with water or sparkling water. I tried it the first time I tried it. I used just regular water. We have well water, but the last couple times I've done it, I got the sparkling water, and I absolutely love it. It is way better. I love it with the sparkling water. So all you do is fill that up with the sparkling water. That's fizzing, so I'm gonna have to go slower. All right, that's good. And then you put your lid on that and give it just a little bit of a shake to get that mixed up. Now, what I do is pour that in a pint jar then with the lid, and I can just take that with me when I go and drink that. And already had this one made up from earlier, was the last that I had out of a jar. So I made me a fresh new jar. I'll put this in the refrigerator and I'll sip on this all day, and then this one will be ready for later or for tomorrow. And this is very delicious and refreshing. And it is good and good for you no matter what kind of diet you're on, or even if you're not on a diet. Thanks for watching. Y'all give us a thumbs up and a comment and subscribe.